Hi, this is Jeff Lesher with What's the Point? And this week's What's the Point is going to focus on that elusive, nebulous thing we call communication. What we want people to know and feel in order to be moved to go do something. And really, when it boils down to it, how do we get together as individuals or teams in order to pursue common objectives? And in life, and work included in that, we have so much more in common than we have that separates us, and yet we increasingly focus on what is different about us in ways that make it impossible to pursue a common objective. And so let's back up the lens and just get a little context, because the world around us does influence how we feel and think and ultimately do certain things. So we have protests ongoing in cities like Portland, Seattle, Austin, Texas, and I'm sure elsewhere. But in those cities in particular, there is an active and often violent conflict between people who all believe that they want to create a better circumstance for the citizens of this country. And one in which, because we don't like what people are protesting or how, that we keep ratcheting up forces against one another. So you've got federal employees of some sort being deployed to protect federal property, and peaceful protesters don't like that. So some have infiltrated those ranks and do things like set off fireworks in the direction of these people, other human beings, and at the property that's being protected, which has resulted in tear gas and rubber bullets being used. And where do we go next? Well, sadly, where we could go next is what happened in Austin, Texas, which is one protester on one side of things carrying a licensed rifle to a protest. You know this isn't going to end well. And being involved in an altercation with a driver of a vehicle in the protest area, also carrying a licensed firearm, and the driver shot to death this person going to a peaceful protest with a rifle. It reminds me of this line from the movie The Untouchables, where Sean Connery's beat cop character is educating Kevin Costner's Elliot Ness about the so-called Chicago way, another city where there's a heck of a lot of violence ongoing at the moment. And he says that in order to defeat the enemy, if they pull a knife, you got to pull a gun. If they send one of yours to the hospital, you need to send one of theirs to the morgue. Well, that in literal terms, in some sad way, is happening. That's the context. That's not productive, folks. And I urge anybody involved in these protests to keep your head about you and to follow the lesson of John Lewis, the recently departed amazing American who literally sacrificed his body in pursuit of a better country. And he earned a better country, not the country that we want to end with, by being nonviolent. Confrontational, but non-violent. Helping people to know and feel what they needed to in order to be moved to go do something that was better. This is true in the workplace. Now, it may not literally involve firearms and such, and let's hope that in the main it does not. And when we go into a conversation, an interaction, a fight, trying to win, we want to be right. We want to get one over. We want to come out with more of our stuff than they do, whether it's internally or across organizations. That's the wrong attitude. That's the wrong way. It's not the good way. It's not the productive way. It's ultimately not the winning way if the idea is to make progress versus merely to win. And I was reminded of this recently through a beautiful example of people coming together in a very difficult circumstance around the commonly held objectives, which was in order to sustain and grow a terrific organization. What did each person need to do individually and together in order to enable that? And it wasn't a linear process. And there was a lot of heartache and there's a lot of hard work still to be carried out. And we have a chance for this to be an amazing success because the people principally responsible for this kept coming back and being allowed themselves to be drawn back to what is the point? If the point is for us to make progress, to be better, however we define that, in whatever venue that's true, then we have to be willing to listen and to be open to knowledge and feeling that moves us towards an action that creates a better common good. We know intellectually, because we've seen it over and over, that it's true, and that the opposite is not only not productive, it is destructive, and we are seeing that right now. Stop it. Don't let it happen anymore. Don't let your circumstance be the example of what not to do. Let it be an example of how we build. It starts with what you're doing, with whom you're doing it right now, in your home, in your business, across organizations, or in your community altogether. You can do it, you must do it. It's not the Chicago way, as the movie says, it's the good way. Be part of that. Know, feel, be moved to go do, common objective being the focus, and it's not about winning, it's about being